about number of units in a shilling. In fact, a shilling is divisible into units, and those units should be decimals. So within a shillings there is decimals. Now we shall see how this works. Look at this picture. It is a shilling. This is a single shilling. This is the back side of the shilling and this is the front side. Now a single unit of a shilling is a cent. So this is a cent. So the question is, how many cents are in a shilling? In other words, we can say how many units are in a single shilling. You may pause this video and then take some time to discuss with a friend close to you and decide, or use your experience to note down the total number of units that are in a single shilling. Remember, a unit of a shilling is a cent. So this is your question, and I hope you have taken time to do that. So in order to understand better how many units are in a single shilling, let us use these 100 square units models. I mean, these are 100 grid squares. We call them 100 grid square because there is a total of 100 cells for each square. Now you can see this square here has got a total of 100 cells. So each cell is representing a cell, and a cell is a single unit for a shilling. Now a model of a cent will be like this. The cell shaded red in color is actually representing the cent. I mean, it is representing a cent. These other colorless cells are actually representing the remaining part of units of a shilling which are not there. So this is actually a fraction of a shilling, and it actually makes 1 unit out of 100 units of a shilling. So this is another activity, a 50 cents coin. This is a 50 cents coin. Now the question here is to construct a 100 grid model to represent this coin, and then compare this amount of money to a single unit of a shilling. Take some time to do that. Take a 100 grid model which is not shaded, and then shade it to make the model for a 50 cents coin, and then write down a description to make a comparison. You may pause this video to do that, and then you may construct your structure and then move around the class to compare what others have done. You may also take some time to discuss with them. This is another activity. It is activity 3. This is a 10 shillings coin, and the questions here are, how many cents are in this amount of money? Take some time to note down how many shillings are in this amount of money, and then take a 100 grid square and then shade it to model this this 10 shillings coin. You should construct only one structure. Think about what other information can you add in that model so that a single structure will model this 10 shillings coin. Now, supposing this 10 shillings coin, 1 shilling is taken, and you remain with 9 shillings. Construct a single structure to model the 9 shillings amount of money. Think how that structure will differ to the single structure that you constructed in this question 3 here. Do it, pause the video, move around the class, discuss, and see who did right and who didn't do right, or see other models that have been proposed by others. This here is another activity. This is a 1,000 note bank, a 1,000 bank note. Now the question here is, how will the model of 1,000 shillings look like if the model of a single shilling is as it is shown below? Remember, this is a model for a single shilling. In a single shilling there is 100 cents. That is why there is 100 cents here. There is 100 shaded cells here. Now think and construct a single model for this 100 shillings coin. Again, pause your video, move around the class to discuss with others. I hope you've done that. Let us see what will happen for this model. Here's the model. You can see these 100 cells are representing 1 shilling. Now, because we cannot make these 100 grid squares up to 1,000, we need to write a summary way for this 1,000 banknote. So you add 3 zeros here. So this one here is a shilling, and the 3 zeros are representing the number of shillings that are existing in that banknote. Okay, here is another activity, and it is a bit more challenging. Make a model for the total amount of money and this amount of money. So you should construct a model that will show all this amount of money. Pause the video again, construct the model. In this case, you cannot use a single grid model. It means each amount here will have its own model, so you should have a total out of 5 grid squares made. I mean, these are 6, because here you have this amount, this amount, this amount, this amount, this amount, and this amount. There is 6 of them, so you should construct 600 grid squares to model this amount of money. Now, in your group, make a model. This is another activity, and it can be activity 6. Make a model for the amount of money, which each member of your group will receive if the money is shared equally among you. Now, in this case, you should make a group with people, and here the advice is that make a group of 5, but it may happen a group may have 5 or 6 or 7. It is okay. Now, in your group, make a model so that the money can be distributed equally among you. So each person should make his or her own model for this amount of money, and then after you have made a model to represent the amount of money